When Destiny Picked the Wrong Girl. This is the story of Tolani and Ejiro. One body, two fates. In the bustling outskirts of Benin City, where the smell of roasted corn mixed with the noise of rushing keke, two girls lived parallel lives that would one day collide into something darker than either of them ever imagined. Their names were Tolani and Fejiro. Tolani was the first daughter in a family where responsibility was a birthmark. She carried her mother's hopes and her siblings' needs on her shoulders. Fejiro, on the other hand, came from a house cracked with chaos, a place where survival was louder than love. The girls weren't friends at the beginning. They simply lived on the same street, nodding occasionally, exchanging glances that said, "We're trying our best in a world that gives nothing for free." Years passed, and their destinies slowly intertwined. Both girls kept seeing something they couldn't ignore. Other young women around them rising suddenly. Girls who used to borrow slippers now stepping out with Brazilian wigs. Girls who once sold puff-puff now driving cars before their 23rd birthdays. Tolani and Fejiro absorbed these sights like seeds waiting for a storm. The beginning of temptation. Fejiro was the first to break. After failing her OND admission for the second time and watching her father abandon the family, she became restless. Every night she scrolled through Instagram, her heart tightening as she saw people her age living like royalty. Tolani felt the same pressure. Her mother fell seriously ill, money became a stranger, and every prayer seemed to return unanswered. Though they rarely spoke, life pushed them together. Loneliness has a funny way of pairing people. One evening, Fejiro discovered something that changed everything. A wooden box wrapped in cloth at the back of her grandmother's old wardrobe. Inside were objects that looked ancient: black powder, bones tied with red thread, and a folded paper covered in symbols. She took the box to Tolani, not for friendship, but because she knew Tolani was desperate too. Desperation recognizes desperation. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. The decision was made in silence. The preparation. They followed the instructions in the paper like obedient shadows. A white cloth, palm oil, a lock of hair from each of them, a deserted place where no rooster crowed. They found an abandoned compound at the edge of the town, a place swallowed by weeds and forgotten stories. When they stepped inside, the air changed as if the place recognized them. The ritual they performed that night was not elegant. It was fear wrapped in determination. Sweat sliding down trembling arms, hearts beating out instructions the paper didn't reveal. When they finished, nothing happened. The wind didn't shift, no shadow appeared, no miracle fell from the sky. They walked home silently, convinced they had wasted their time. But the next day, their lives began to change. The rise. Tolani received unexpected money from a long-lost uncle in Europe. Fejiro got a job offer in a boutique she never applied for. Opportunities opened like doors that had been waiting for their names. Their skin glowed, their confidence rose. People admired them, whispered about them, envied them. Tolani began taking care of her family. Fejiro moved out of her chaotic home into a small but comfortable apartment. It seemed the ritual had blessed them. But rituals in Nigeria never gave without taking. Not the real ones, not the ones written on papers older than their grandmothers. The first sign. The dream started. Tolani dreamt of a woman without a face standing by her window every night. Fejiro dreamt of a black river swallowing everything she touched. Again, they never spoke, but both felt the shift. Animals began acting strange around them. A neighbor's dog barked endlessly whenever they passed. Street cats avoided their shadows as though the girls carried something otherworldly. But wealth covers fear like makeup covers scars. They kept moving. The payment began. One morning, people found a chicken laying lifeless in Fejiro's corridor, with no wound, no explanation. Tolani found 3 of her mother's cooking pots cracked in half as if struck from the inside. Then came the incident that changed everything. Tolani's sick mother suddenly recovered, not slowly, but all at once, as if someone hit a reset button on her soul. The neighbors called it a miracle, but Tolani noticed something else. Her mother stopped recognizing her at night. Each time she entered the room, the woman's eyes widened in fear, as if she saw someone else standing where her daughter stood. Fear tightened its grip around Tolani's neck. Then, the plot twist arrived without warning. The twist, the shadow chose only one. One evening, Tolani followed Fejiro to the abandoned compound, hoping they could reverse whatever they had done. But something terrifying happened. As soon as Fejiro stepped into the building, the shadows moved, not away from her, but towards her. They wrapped around her feet like chains, pulling her deeper. Her body stiffened, her eyes dulled, and she collapsed. Tolani froze. For the first time, the truth became clear. The ritual was never meant to bless both of them. It demanded one life for the other's success. Tolani was supposed to be the sacrifice, but Fejiro touched the ritual box first. Fejiro opened the door. Fejiro unknowingly offered herself. The darkness had chosen her long before the ritual. Tolani tried to drag her friend out, but the shadows held Fejiro firmly. The house seemed to breathe, as if satisfied with its payment. When Tolani finally escaped, people found Fejiro's lifeless body the next morning with no mark on her. Tolani, untouched, continued rising in life, but the price of her success walked beside her every day. Because every shadow she cast looked too much like Fejiro, and every reflective surface she passed flickered with the image of a girl who gave everything without knowing. The ending. Years later, Tolani became wealthy, respected, admired. But inside her mansion, mirrors were covered. Lights never stayed on after midnight. And in the deepest part of her heart, she knew the truth. The ritual didn't bless her. It spared her. And Nigerian rituals never spare for free.